Welcome to Make It a Better Day. I'm Alex and with me is Victoria. Today we're exploring something transformative. Unleash your inner power, transform your day.
We're starting with Emerson's profound insight. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. You know, recent research from the University of Pennsylvania actually backs this up. They found that internal resources like resilience predict success better than external circumstances.
That's fascinating, Victoria. And it reminds me of something that happened in my neighborhood last week. During that massive power outage, I watched my 78-year-old neighbor Helen transform into this amazing community organizer.
Tell us more about that.
She just tapped into this incredible strength none of us knew she had, started coordinating neighbors to check on elderly residents, organized a community kitchen in her garage using camping stoves. She later told me she hadn't done anything like that since her Peace Corps days 50 years ago.
That's exactly what we're talking about. This hidden reservoir of strength we all have. You know, psychologists call this dormant resilience, capabilities we have but rarely use.
Like my friend Jasmine, who discovered she had this amazing gift for crisis management during her son's health scare. She went from being someone who'd panic over a missed deadline to calmly coordinating with doctors, managing family schedules, and still keeping her small business running.
That's such a powerful example of what researchers call stress-induced growth. Sometimes our greatest strengths emerge precisely when we think we're at our weakest.
And speaking of discovering hidden strength, can we talk about Marcus, the third-grade teacher from our listeners' stories?
Oh yes, the one who thought he was just not good with technology, until remote learning forced him to adapt?
Exactly. He went from barely being able to send emails to running engaging virtual classrooms in 3 weeks. But here's what's really interesting. When we interviewed him, he said something that stuck with me.
What was that?
He said, "I didn't become tech savvy. I became courage savvy." That's such a powerful distinction, isn't it?
It really is. And it connects to what Dr. Angela Duckworth found in her research on grit, that our belief and our ability to grow often matters more than our current capabilities.
Let's break this down for our listeners. What actually happens when we tap into our inner strength?
Well, neuroscience gives us some fascinating insights here. When we consciously access our inner resources, we activate both the prefrontal cortex, our planning center, and the anterior cingulate cortex, which helps regulate emotions.
Could you make that more relatable for our listeners?
Think of it like your phone's battery-saving mode. It unlocks capabilities you didn't even know you had when you need them most. But here's the key. We don't have to wait for a crisis to access these resources.
Which brings us to practical steps. We talked about my power pause earlier, but there's actually more to it than just 3 breaths, isn't there?
Yes, let's break down the full technique. First, there's the pause itself, those 3 breaths, but then comes what I call the strength scan.
Can you walk us through that?
Imagine you're facing a challenge. After your 3 breaths, ask yourself 3 specific questions. What strength have I used in similar situations? What strength would be most helpful right now? What strength am I not seeing in myself?
I tried this during my daughter's college application meltdown last month. Instead of jumping into fix-it mode, I did the strength scan and realized patience was my hidden resource in that moment.
And how did that change things?
Completely transformed the conversation. Instead of trying to solve everything, I accessed this well of patience I didn't know I had, just sat with her in the uncertainty. 2 hours later, she had figured out her own solution.
That's beautiful. And it brings up something important. Inner strength often shows up differently than we expect. Sometimes it's not about doing more, but about being more present.
You know what's interesting? A study from Harvard showed that people who practice this kind of self-awareness make better decisions under pressure and report higher levels of life satisfaction.
And it's not just about big moments either. Inner strength can transform our everyday experiences too.
Absolutely, like my morning commute story. Remember that?
The one with the delayed train and the impromptu book club.
Exactly. Instead of getting frustrated by the delay, I started chatting with fellow passengers. Turned out 4 of us were reading the same book. Now we meet monthly for coffee and discussion.
That's what I love about inner strength. It's not just about enduring difficulties, it's about transforming them into opportunities.
Let's give our listeners some concrete ways to practice this daily. The Strength Journal has been a game changer for many of my coaching clients.
Walk us through how that works.
Each evening, write down 3 things. A strength you use today, a strength you saw in someone else, and a strength you want to develop tomorrow. It's simple but powerful.
And combine that with the morning power map, taking 2 minutes to anticipate today's challenges and identify which inner resources you might need.
Now for today's challenge, we're calling it the Inner Strength Activation Project. It's a 7-day experiment in consciously accessing your inner power.
Day 1 starts with the strength scan we discussed. Each day builds on the last, adding new techniques like strength spotting in others, gratitude for your capabilities, and intentional challenge seeking.
And we've created a simple tracking sheet you can download from our website. It takes just 5 minutes a day, but the results can be remarkable.
Remember, as Maya Angelou said, you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats, so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it.
Beautiful quote to end on. Before we wrap up, what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Your inner strength is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But unlike a muscle, it never gets tired. It only gets more powerful with each challenge you face.
Thanks for joining us on Make It a Better Day. Don't forget to visit our website for more great content to help make your day better. Remember, your greatest power lies within you. Sometimes you just need to pause long enough to find it.